Every day we get 24 hours, and how we use every hour decides who we become. Bring me a poor person, bring me a wealthy person, and the difference between both of them is how they use time. You would never find, if you do find, by all means share that with me, but I've found from my experience that I've never found a poor person who values time. And similarly, I'm yet to find a wealthy person or a rich person who doesn't value time. You see, the value you assign with time or associate to time really decides your financial future, but it decides the life that you have. You must start to see time as something to be cherished, not just because of its brevity, but because it's life. You know, time is life. Every hour that passes by is an hour of your life. Gone, never going to come back. You're never going to get an opportunity to relive that moment. So time is precious. Now, what I'd like to start off by doing with you is ask you a series of questions. Because there's something we're always trying to do. We want to get more out of the time we have. Now, I used to be one of those people who I would say, if only I had more time. I wish I had more time. And that really reflected the level of my ignorance at that stage. The reason was simply, you can't get more. The wrong question was what I kept asking, and I found from experience that the mind is so powerful. If you ask disempowering questions, your mind will give you disempowering answers. If you ask empowering questions, your mind will find empowering answers. So the key here is always choose carefully to focus on more empowering and positive thoughts, questions, and feelings and actions, because that changes what you get. The law of attraction is always working. You're always attracting to you whatever you think about, whatever you feel, whatever you act on. But I suddenly started to realize that a lot of the questions I was asking myself wasn't helping. So I changed my focus and I started asking myself the question, how can I use my time more effectively? And I came to the conclusion that time management in itself is not possible. What you can manage is you can manage activities, you can manage resources, you can leverage your time to other people. And that is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about this particular area of leverage because many people don't see the value of leverage. I believe leverage is the new currency. And on the leverage, I want to talk about how you can slowly use the concept of leverage to create a really remarkable but also very exciting life. Now, think about this for 1 minute. How do you use your time every day? Now, I don't want you to think too deeply about it, but just let the activities just flow through your mind briefly. Okay, you wake up in the morning, you get ready for work. If you work, you travel to work, you get to the office, you work, you come back home perhaps, you prepare your meal, you get some things ready. That kind of gives you perhaps a starting point. Now, what I found when I started looking at my life was I started to observe that there were certain things that I did on a routine basis. They were standard. So my life every day comprised of what I called standard or routine activities. And then I also had non-standard and non-routine activities. Now, I understood that I couldn't manage time, but I could manage activities. So I decided to change my focus and I started asking myself, how can I more cleverly manage these activities? And that is where the concept of leverage came in. Now, there are various forms of leverage. There's what we call OPM, other people's money. We have OPT, other people's time. We have OPE, other people's experiences. We have OPK, other people's knowledge. W, wisdom. So I started asking myself, well, how can I use leverage in such a way that I can maximize the return of my time? Because here is the point. all of us are investors. We get time as a seed, and how we invest the time decides who we become. So we're all investors. The question is, how can I use leverage to get more? Because every investor is always asking the question, what is my return on my investment? Now, as I started to think about this in my personal life, I realized something quite interesting. I realized that there were certain things I did every day that I enjoyed doing, but also there were certain things that I didn't really enjoy doing. So I came up with the conclusion that there were certain things that maximized the return of my investment of time, and there were those that didn't. I'll give you a good example of some of them. I looked at my life and I said, what is my time's worth? And I think this is where you must begin. What is the value of your time? Now, let me start by giving you an idea about how you can come about this, because most people that I've met, when I ask them, what's the value of your time? They can't really tell me. Outside work, they can't really tell me. So I go back and I say, well, we can start with work. It's a good benchmark. How much do you earn? Now, someone might say I earn £50,000 every year. Let's assume that there are 2,000 work hours in a year. So you're making £25 per hour. That's the value. That's what the company pays you. So most people say, well, I make £25 per hour, so my value of my time is £25. And I'm often very quick to correct them. I say, well, not really, because you see, for the company to pay you £25, you must be probably worth £75 per hour as a minimum, because now they have to make a profit. They have to pay off all of the overheads and then give you a compensation. So you're worth more than £25. Now I'm going to assume £75. In most cases, probably in the region of about £52, assuming a 2% ratio. But let's use £75. So I say to them, well, your time's worth to the company, because that's what they're charging externally for the service you're providing to clients, it's about £75 an hour. So I ask them, that is what you think the company thinks you're worth. But what do you believe you're worth? Now, most people struggle with that. So I try not to push it too far. I say, okay, fine. Let's work with £75 an hour. Now, in my opinion, I think it's much more. If the company pays you £75 an hour, I think you're worth much, much more. You just have to understand and develop and know the gifts and talents and skills you have. But more importantly, who you really are as an individual. Now, don't tell me that you're 1 in 7 billion people alive today and you're just worth £75 an hour. That's ridiculous. That is just ridiculous. Your value is too much to be put in monetary terms. But yes, we have to accept some value in terms of some level of compensation, and it's worth more than £75. Believe me, whatever you've earned in the past, I guarantee you, I challenge you, I dare you, multiply by 10. Multiply that number by 10. You see, you're as good as the best out there. You are as good as the best out there. You got to believe it. Now, I'm not going to tell you what that amount is, because you know yourself. You got to discover who you really are. But let's use £75 as an example. I then say to them, okay, well, let's look at your day. This is what I did with myself first, and I started to teach some of these concepts. I found that every day that there were things, as part of my standard and my non-standard items, there were things that I could use leverage. By leverage, it means I could use other people's experiences and other people's time, meaning I could delegate. Now, I know how difficult this is for many people. We understand delegation in a work context, but we don't really understand it in a personal life context. So I sat down with myself and I said, okay, what do I do every week? I went through the lists. Okay, well, I cannot delegate caring and loving, my loved ones to other people. No, I have to do that myself. I cannot delegate my work. I have to do that myself. But then I came down to some simple things. I found that there were some basic activities. Remember, what we're talking about is managing activities. I found that cooking, cleaning the house, shopping for groceries, some of my bookkeeping and some of my other administrative tasks, I did them sometimes on a daily basis, sometimes on a weekly basis. And what I did, I asked myself, how much time am I spending every single day on some of these items? So I identified, identified all of them. And then I came down to the end of the week and I said, how many hours is it am I spending on these activities? The question I then asked myself is, could I use leverage? The answer was yes. I said, do I like cooking? Yeah, I kind of like it. But I can find someone who could do it better than I do. But this is where it gets interesting. I asked myself, what's the value of my time? Because with cooking, I could get someone who can do that for £10 an hour for me. That's powerful. So the question you ask yourself is not, do I enjoy cooking? The question is, if I gain back 1 hour per day, what could I do with that 1 hour? Can I take that seed of 1 hour and create a harvest of 4 or 5 hours? So I asked myself, would I keep doing my cooking at £75 an hour, or will I be willing to pay someone £10 and then use that 1 hour to create opportunities to multiply this by 4, 5 times? And that's what I want you to ask yourself. I asked myself the next question, cleaning. Do I have to clean the house myself? Could I find someone to do it? Yes. I could get someone to do it for £7.50 or £9. Shopping. Could I do that myself? Yes. But I found I was spending so much time going to the shops. You know, you go through the aisles, you have to unpack, put in your shopping cart, then travel to the checkout center and then pay. You have to wait in a queue. All of that was wasted time. Travel down there, buy, travel back, wasted time. So I decided, well, I could delegate that. Now, the selection of the items I could do myself, but I could do it online. And I could have a delivery come down to my house and deposit it in my house. And I found just by doing that, I was saving a lot of hours every single week just by shopping online. Interestingly, I was also saving about 25% on my shopping, because I found when I went to the shops, I bought things that I didn't need. But when I did it online, it was quicker. I didn't have to walk down 200 aisles to find what I wanted. I could sit on my computer, I can select what I want, and at the end I could pay for it and someone has it delivered, but also has it delivered at the time when I want to have it delivered. Next, my bookkeeping. Could I find someone to do it? Yes, I could find some. Now, guess what? With the shopping, because I was buying everything online, it was being delivered almost free. My bookkeeping, I could find someone to do for £10 an hour. So what I decided to do was use leverage, and I decided to delegate all of these activities. By delegating these activities, it doesn't mean that you absolve yourself of all responsibility. No, you're still accountable because it's yours. What I spent my time doing was selecting the right team. I sat down with them. I said, this is what I want. This is the vision. This is what I expect. These are the outcomes I want. And then I monitored their performance for the first 2-3 sessions, and then I was happy. So I could let them do what had to be done. Then I could spend all of that time investing it back in creating more wealth for myself. You see, what I've done here is manage activities. And that's how you, in a way, leverage time. You don't manage it, you leverage time. By doing this, I found that I started to maximize a lot of the time I had left, but also I started to really get to enjoy life. Because you see, by doing this, you're creating job opportunities, but also you're allowing yourself to focus all of your spare time in doing what you really love. And that is where the essence of life begins. Where you have passion, you have excitement, you have joy, you're doing what really gets you excited. Now, all of these activities didn't get me excited. Now, for you, it might do. Even if it gets you excited, I'll ask you 4 questions. Number 1, can someone do it at the same level or better than you? Number 1. Number 2, can someone do it at a cheaper rate than you? Number 3, whilst you're doing that, what is the return on your time? What is the return on your time? Are you getting back much more return? If the answer is no, then number 4 question is, why are you doing it? Get someone else to do it. Spend that 1 hour you save, even if it's by cleaning, sit down with your kids, sit down with your loved ones, and just love on them. I bet you, for £10 an hour is worth it. You sit down with your loved ones, you spend quality time, rather than you running around the kitchen trying to act busy, and at the end, you're not spending quality time with them. It's not about what you do. Now, I love a story that I'm going to draw your attention to. It's a story about two ladies, two sisters. And it's told in such a way that I thought was quite interesting. They had a visitor come visit them, and this was a great person. A lot of respect. The community respected this person. This was like perhaps having some wise person come to see you. Now, the first sister went into the kitchen and started preparing a really nice meal, and she was being busy doing so many things, trying to make a 3-course meal. Now, the second sister did something different. The second sister went and sat by the master's feet, and all she did was listen to the master, ask questions. She just gave herself, her presence. She spent quality time with the master. And the sister in the kitchen got frustrated. Came back to the living room and said, "Listen, master, I'm doing a lot of work in the kitchen to get the food ready. Can you ask my sister to come and join me rather than be here with you?" And the master gave such a beautiful response. He said, "Your sister has chosen what she believes is right, and that cannot be taken away from her. You, on the other hand, you're really being busy, but that's okay too." The point he was trying to make is that we all make choices. And there are some choices that are more impactful than others. You see, time is life. And if I invest an hour of my life with you, that is a great investment. So rather than you being in the kitchen trying to cook, you finish cooking, then you clean. But before you start the cooking and the cleaning, you have gone to the shops. And when you finish the cooking and the cleaning, then you have to do the bookkeeping. And then you say to your kids and your loved ones, "I don't have the time to hang out with you because I'm trying to do my responsibilities and my duties as a parent." That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to love on them. You can't delegate the loving, so why don't you delegate all the other activities? Now, I hope that's been useful. I found that just some subtle changes I started making, such as these, began to create better changes in my life. I started to find that I was more fulfilled. I was happier because now I could take all of this time I was saving and I channeled that towards doing what made me come alive, rather than doing things that added no value to my life. Life is very short, it's brief. Let's make the best use of it. I hope you do. God bless.